So, what if dating actually had a playbook? Well, according to Kel Zorvin's book, How to Get a Girlfriend, it does. And today, we're going to break it all down: the core strategies, the key rules, and the one single task the author says can completely change the game. We've all seen this, right? Maybe we've even been this person. You see someone you're interested in, and then just nothing. That hesitation kicks in, this wall of silence goes up. The author uses this exact feeling as the starting point for the whole problem he's trying to solve. And at the heart of that problem is one pretty shocking number. According to the author, it's 90%. That's how many men see someone they're attracted to in a coffee shop or on the street and do absolutely nothing. They just keep walking. So the book frames this with some pretty strong language. That 90%, he calls them inert, just passively going with the flow. This playbook, he says, isn't for them. It's for that small fraction who want to be proactive, to shift from being passive to becoming what he calls a hunter. Okay, so before we even get to what to say or where to go, the very first battleground is all in your head. The book argues that the biggest thing holding people back is simply the fear of rejection, or as the author puts it, the fear of getting a bummer. And this is where the language gets really dramatic. Rejection isn't just something to brush off. It's framed as this almost epic challenge, a male cross that just has to be faced. The whole point isn't to avoid it, but to learn how to deal with it. So how do you do that? The book gives you this 3-part mental toolkit. First, you got to reframe it. Think of it as a game, not some judgment on your self-worth. You either hit the target or you miss. Second, you have to actively push that fear of rejection out of your mind. And third, you got to go in expecting it might not work. I mean, she might just be having a bad day, It's not always about you. All right, so once the internal game is sorted out, the playbook gets super tactical. It basically turns into a field guide with specific plays for different locations. This is where the theory hits the real world. Let's start with a really common but tricky one. The bus, the train, the subway. You're in this tight space. It's usually quiet. So how do you break that silence? Well, the playbook suggests a few options here. You've got the simple, direct question, are you going far? Or you can make a quick comment about something happening around you, but then there's the really bold move, actually getting off at her stop with her, just to say you intentionally missed yours for a chance to talk. Okay, let's move to the next arena, the cafe, restaurant, or club. Now, you'd think these places are designed for meeting people, but the author warns it's not quite as easy as it looks. The tactics here get a little more strategic. There's the grand gesture, like sending wine to her table to get the whole group's attention. But there's also a huge warning: limit your approaches. According to the author, if you go up to too many women, you'll get noticed, and your night will be, in his words, ruined. And finally, a key rule: if another guy shows up, avoid a fight. The goal is connection, not confrontation. This brings us to one of the book's most confident plays: just giving a flower. The logic here is that a woman will almost always take it, and once she has, it's psychologically a little harder for her to just immediately shut you down. It's pitched as a nearly foolproof way to break the ice. But hey, it's not always just about the two of you. The book makes a big deal about how success really depends on navigating this complex social chessboard, and that includes her friends and your potential rivals. So this quote is used to explain a pretty core idea in the book: that men are basically womanizers by nature. Because of this, the book strongly advises you never tell your male friends about your dating efforts. The fear is that a reputation will spread, or even worse, that a friend might get envious and try to get to the girl first. This all leads to a set of really strict rules for managing your social life. Rule number 1, keep your dating life private from your own friends. Rule 2, be careful with her friends, who the book describes as potentially dangerous and jealous. And Rule 3, the first few dates have to be alone to avoid any complications. Okay, let's zoom in on the approach itself, that moment of truth. The book breaks it down into 5 core rules, a kind of tactical checklist for those first few critical seconds. And these are presented as absolute non-negotiables. It starts with space. Give her about an arm's length. Then your posture. Back straight. Add a smile and make eye contact to show you're confident. Keep your hands visible, not shoved in your pockets. And finally, your voice. Speak clearly and loud enough so she doesn't have to lean in and say, "What?" So once you're there, the book gives you 2 main paths. You've got the direct style, where you just come right out and say it, hey, I saw you and wanted to meet you. Or you can go with the indirect style, using a reason like asking for directions and then smoothly transitioning into why you're really talking to her. So, after all the tips, all the rules, all the different locations, the book boils everything down to one single actionable piece of homework. This is framed as the most important step of all, the thing that takes all this theory and actually makes it real. And this is it, a super simple 3-part script to build your opening line. It's just a greeting, then a quick statement about your own situation, like, I'm just waiting for a friend. And you end with what you want. I thought you were cute and wanted to say hi. The advice is to literally rehearse this in a mirror until it feels totally natural. And the author's final point is all about persistence. The book is really clear. You are not a $100 bill. Not everyone is going to like you. You might get turned down 100 times. But the core message is that success only comes from being willing to try that 101st time. It's just a numbers game. So when you boil it all down, the playbook's central idea is pretty simple. Success comes from taking action, not from being perfect. It's about taking the shot over and over again, which really leaves us with one final question. According to this way of thinking, what's the single biggest barrier that truly stops people from ever taking that shot in the first place?